Your old reality begins breaking the moment its rules stop convincing you. The rule that said you must stay quiet to keep love. The rule that said rest must be earned through collapse. The rule that said one rejection proves you are not chosen. Nothing outside may look broken yet, but inside, the agreement is weakening. This message will show you three cracks that appear when an old reality is losing power. A crack in the story, a crack in the routine, and a crack in the relationships built around the old version of you. You will also receive a bridge method for moving forward without destroying what still deserves care. The final step matters because people often release an identity and forget to replace the function it served. The first crack appears in the story. A sentence you repeated for years begins sounding incomplete. I am just the kind of person who gives up. But you remember the times you returned. Nobody is safe. But one person has been consistent. I have no choice. But one small choice has become visible. Psychologists describe narrative identity as the evolving story people use to connect the past, present, and future. The events matter. So do the conclusions built around them. An old reality can remain stable because every new event is edited to support an old conclusion. One unanswered message confirms abandonment. 10 answered messages are dismissed. One mistake confirms failure. Every repair is forgotten. The old story survives through selective evidence. Here is the first exercise. Write the rule behind your most repeated pain. To be loved, I must. To be safe, I must. To be successful, I must. Finish one sentence. Perhaps the rule is, to be loved, I must never create disappointment. That rule turns every boundary into danger. Or, to be successful, I must never be seen learning. That rule turns preparation into permanent hiding. Now ask, when did this rule help me? It may have protected belonging, reduced conflict, or helped you survive a difficult environment. Do not insult the version of you who created it. Thank the function. Then ask, what does this rule cost me now? An old rule can be honored and retired. The second crack appears in routine. The behavior still happens, but it no longer feels unconscious. You see your hand reach for the phone. You hear yourself over-explain. You notice the moment you leave the important task and begin another round of preparation. That awareness can feel frustrating. You may say, I know better, so why am I still doing it? Because knowing and automating a new response are different stages. Awareness arrives first. Repetition builds the alternative later. Do not use awareness as a weapon. Use it as a cue. I noticed the old routine. What is the smallest different action available now? Put the phone down for 2 minutes. End the explanation one sentence earlier. Work for 10 minutes before searching for another method. The third crack appears in relationships. People begin responding to the change you have barely named. Someone respects your clearer no. Someone becomes distant because the old access is closing. Someone accuses you of changing. Relationships are agreements, and some agreements were built around your silence, availability, or self-doubt. Do not assume resistance proves you are right. Examine the pattern. Is the person asking for mutual responsibility or asking you to return to self-betrayal? Can they hear your truth without punishment? Can you hear theirs without turning every correction into rejection? Growth needs discernment. A boundary is not a license to avoid accountability. It is a clear statement of your participation. If these 3 cracks describe what you are living, subscribe. The purpose here is not to celebrate destruction. It is to help you release old rules without losing wisdom, responsibility, or compassion. Now we need to talk about breaking. The title may sound dramatic, but an old reality breaking does not mean you should quit everything today. It means the pattern can no longer operate without being seen. Visibility creates the possibility of choice. Use the bridge method. Name, stabilize, replace, prove. First, Name what is breaking. Not my whole life. Be specific. My belief that I need their approval. My habit of avoiding financial information. My role as the person who carries every emotion in the room. Specific language reduces panic. Second, stabilize what still matters. Sleep, food, income, medical care, safe relationships, responsibilities toward children or dependents. A transition becomes more dangerous when every foundation is removed at once. Preserve what supports wise decisions. Third, replace the function. If people-pleasing created belonging, where will healthy connection come from? If overworking created worth, how will you practice value without exhaustion? If checking created temporary certainty, what grounded statement will you use when uncertainty returns? Fourth, prove the new rule with one action. My needs can exist becomes a clear request. I can learn publicly becomes one finished piece released before perfection. I can face reality becomes opening the statement or scheduling the appointment. Name, stabilize, replace, prove. This is how a breaking point becomes a bridge rather than a collapse. Now listen to your nervous system. Familiarity can feel safe even when the pattern is harmful. A calm relationship may feel boring. Free time may feel guilty. Receiving help may feel dangerous. The body can prefer a known cost over an unknown possibility. Do not shame that response. Teach safety through small evidence. Accept 10 minutes of help. Leave one message unanswered until morning. Rest for 20 minutes without explaining. Repetition shows the body that the new rule can exist without catastrophe. Persistent anxiety, depression, trauma symptoms, or physical distress deserve qualified support. Spiritual reflection should not replace appropriate care. Seeking help can be part of the new reality, especially if the old rule said you must carry everything alone. Now consider grief. You may grieve an identity even when it hurt you. Being needed gave you purpose. Being invisible gave you protection. Being the strong one gave you belonging. Releasing the role creates an empty space before a healthier identity has history. Do not fill the space with another extreme. The opposite of people-pleasing is not cruelty. The opposite of overwork is not abandoning every responsibility. The opposite of silence is not speaking without care. A mature new rule contains balance. Replace, I must keep everyone happy, with, I can care without controlling every reaction. Replace, I must work until I collapse, with, I can build through consistent effort and recovery. Replace, I must never trust with, trust can grow at the speed of evidence. Balanced language is easier to live than a dramatic identity. 4 old reality roles are especially difficult to release because each role once produced a reward. The first is the invisible one. Staying unseen reduced criticism, conflict, or envy. The reward was protection. The cost was that your work, needs, and personality rarely received honest contact with the world. The new rule is not, I must be visible everywhere. It is, I can choose safe and meaningful visibility. Prove it with one question, one published piece, or one honest preference. The second is the endlessly strong one. Carrying everything created respect and made you difficult to abandon. The reward was being needed. The cost was exhaustion and relationships where support moved only in one direction. The new rule is, strength includes receiving appropriate help. Prove it by making one clear request without apologizing for existing. The third is the perfect one. Perfection reduced the chance of criticism and created temporary control. The reward was praise. The cost was delay, anxiety, and work that remained hidden. The new rule is, quality grows through completion, feedback, and revision. Prove it by defining finished enough and releasing one complete version. The fourth is the emotional rescuer. Managing everyone's feelings reduced immediate conflict. The reward was temporary peace. The cost was that your own emotion became inconvenient and other adults avoided responsibility. The new rule is, I can care without controlling every reaction. Prove it by allowing one person to feel disappointed without rushing to remove the feeling. You may recognize more than one role. Choose the role that appears most often in ordinary life. A role is not your personality. It is a repeated solution. When the problem changes, the solution can be updated. Now identify the reward: protection, being needed, praise, temporary peace. Do not remove the role without creating a healthier path toward the reward. If you need protection, use boundaries, preparation, and safe support rather than total invisibility. If you need belonging, invest in mutual connection rather than endless usefulness. If you need excellence, use feedback rather than perfection. If you need peace, build clear agreements rather than emotional control. This replacement matters. Without it, the old role returns the first time its reward is needed. Use a two-column page. On the left-right, the old role protects me from. On the right-right, a healthier protection could be. Keep the answer practical. Perhaps the old role protects you from rejection. A healthier protection is applying to several suitable places rather than making one answer your identity. Perhaps it protects you from conflict. A healthier protection is choosing time, wording, and support for the conversation. Perhaps it protects you from shame. A healthier protection is repair. Now create a small exposure ladder. The first step should create mild discomfort, not overwhelm. If visibility scares you, share with one safe person before publishing. If asking for help scares you, request 10 minutes rather than an entire solution. If saying no scares you, ask for time before answering. Move to the next step only after the first has some history. The new reality becomes safer through repeated evidence, not force. Here is a pattern interrupt. You are not losing yourself. You may be losing a strategy that you mistook for yourself. Ask, who am I without the strategy? Do not search for a complete identity. Name values: honest, responsible, creative, compassionate, clear. Values remain available across changing roles. Choose 3 values and turn each into behavior. Honesty becomes one clear sentence. Responsibility becomes one repaired obligation. Creativity becomes 20 minutes of making. Identity becomes believable when values receive action. Now examine the environment that keeps the old reality alive. The chat remains open. The task begins with too many steps. Every person around you repeats the old label. Change one cue. Move the phone. Prepare the document. Reduce access. Spend time with someone who knows how to relate to your growth. Environment does not remove responsibility, but it changes which action is easiest to remember. Create an if-then bridge for the old trigger. If guilt follows my no, then I will wait before reversing the boundary. If I miss one day, then I will return with 10 minutes. If someone calls my growth selfish, then I will examine the evidence before accepting the label. Specific plans protect you when the old rule speaks with urgency. Now apply the bridge to work. Perhaps the old reality says you must be fully ready before being seen. Name it. Stabilize income and responsibilities. Replace perfection with feedback. Prove the new rule by releasing one complete piece. Apply it to relationships. The old reality says love must be earned through overgiving. Name it. Stabilize safe support. Replace overgiving with mutuality. Prove the new rule by allowing one need to exist without apology. Apply it to money. The old reality says looking will make the problem worse. Name it. Stabilize essentials. Replace avoidance with information. Prove the new rule by opening one number and choosing one responsible next step. Apply it to the body. The old reality says rest is weakness. Name it. Stabilize sleep and care. Replace punishment with sustainable practice. Prove the new rule through one act of recovery before collapse. Do not try to rebuild every area at once. Choose the rule with the highest daily cost. One rule retired can release energy into several areas. For 7 days, Keep a crack and bridge record. Write the trigger, old rule, new rule, and action. 4 short phrases. Request. I must say yes. I can answer honestly. Asked for 1 day. At the end of the week, find where the old rule appeared most often. That is not proof you failed. It is the location where support is needed. Add support. A prepared sentence. A smaller step. A changed cue. A safe person. Professional guidance. The new reality needs structure, not only inspiration. There will be setbacks. You may over-explain after promising clarity. You may reopen the chat. You may work until exhaustion. The old story will say, nothing changed. Answer with repair. Name what happened. Repair the impact. Adjust the plan. Return. The speed of return is evidence that the old reality no longer has unlimited access. Before you go, finish 1 sentence. The rule I am ready to release is, then finish another. The value I will practice instead is, keep both visible for 7 days. Your old reality is already breaking when the rule can no longer operate without being questioned. The crack is not the end. It is where choice enters. Write this in the comments. I release the rule that keeps me small. Like this message if it helped you name 1 old agreement, and subscribe for more spiritual motivation grounded in safe, responsible change. You do not need to destroy your life. Name the rule. Stabilize what matters. Replace the function. Prove the new direction with 1 action.